You know, sometimes it's the little things. When we saw the AFR gossip column story about Albo's son getting a Guernsey for the Qantas Chairman's Lounge, we ignored it. There was a good bit of detail by Joe Aston, the gossip columnist, but a bit prurient, a bit pervy for our tastes. But Albo's going to have to walk this one back, or else it will hang around his neck like an albatross for the duration of his time in office. His political adversaries will use it. This is a momentary, slightly understandable, but epic lapse in judgment, and this is why. Nobody gets into the Chairman's Lounge except by invitation. Except by the invitation of none other than Alan Joyce, the Qantas CEO, who is still on his Homeric farewell tour of everywhere, of umpteen dinners and parties, care of taxpayers and beleaguered customers. But the Chairman's Lounge is not the Qantas Club. It's not for people who fly even business class, who fly a lot, who've got lots of money. This is the riffraff. In the Qantas Club, it's not just nice hors d'oeuvres and free plonk in the shower we're talking about here. This is like, the Chairman's Lounge is like the Grand Poobah level of the Masonic Temple. It's secretive. It's about flight upgrades and fine grog and tucker too, but there's more. All we know about it, all we know about its members is that they're chief executives of blue chip companies, chairmen, chairwomen of top regulators. It's politicians, it's high court judges, and now it's Albo's 23-year-old son, Nathan. It's a bad look. It's a bad look because who makes the decisions to block Qatar's request for 28 new routes to Doha? Who makes the decision on new airlines trying to compete on the Pacific route against Qantas, meaning lower airfares for all of us? Ultimately, it's Albo, former Transport Minister himself, who wants competition blocked. It's Alan Joyce, who makes the decision on high-speed rail versus, the Virgin Qantas duopoly. It's Albo, who wants his monopolies preserved. It's Alan. Now, what's probably happened here is that Joyce has offered it. It may not be that way, but he's a charming guy, a businessman, so that's understandable. He wants to peddle influence. That is being a businessman. Of course he wants Albo on the hook. And Albo perhaps hasn't thought it through. He's nodded, he's got a lot on his plate, family's everything, why not? But it's a momentary lapse in Albo's usually astute political judgment. This is the company most infamous for the decline in corporate standards in Australia, customer standards, for greed, for bashing its workforce by divide and conquer tactics, and for soaking up almost $3 billion in COVID subsidies, the most of any company in Australia, and then having the chutzpah to spend money on a share buyback, and then, of course, Alan selling his own shares into the share buyback at nice prices. The story about his son getting a gig at PwC is not a good look either, but that's just a 2-week unpaid internship, less of an issue. The issue here with the Chairman's Lounge, unless he walks it back, his political adversaries will exploit it, and his son is in the thick of it. The other thing is that it's, by all accounts, a very boring place. It's very quiet, mostly men, old men, there to network, there to have a bit of peace, there to get the odd favour pulled in. A friend of mine told me on the weekend that him and his mates were on a bender in the airport bars and lounges, and about 5 beers into this airport bender, a mate called and invited them up to the Chairman's Lounge, whereupon they got there and promptly turned on their heels and left. It was too boring. But most people that know about this stuff agree it's a bad look. As one Qantas pilot told me this morning, it's all about graft. The pilots can't get in either, mind you. This guy said, the Chairman's Lounge is about favours. They revoke your pass once you're of no use to them. It's all about influence. To quote him, there's no hanging on the phone line for reservations. They have their own phone line for their elite customers. In defence of Albo, he's probably got, and the pilot says he's probably got 2 members on his pass, on his card, and has nominated his son as the other member. Still, it's not a good look. It may not have been Alan Joyce either, to be fair. It might have just been that's what's happened. But where is the transparency? Qantas won't respond to questions, and neither will the PMO. And while we're at it, the head of CASA, the airline safety regulator, ought to revoke her membership. That's a massive conflict of interest. Also the head of the ACCC, massive conflict of interest if she's one of the chosen, and the Transport Minister, Catherine King, as well. And as the High Court is now presiding over the illegal sacking of 1,700 baggage handlers, there's no allegation of impropriety on the judiciary here, but they should also disclose it is a conflict of interest. politicians too, for that matter. Thanks for your support. Like, share the story, become a subscriber, throw us a few bucks if you can.